EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has declared her intention to run for a second term. Alexei Navalny's widow accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of killing her husband and vowed to continue his fight against the Kremlin.
Russia confirms control over the Ukrainian town of Avdiivka, marking the biggest change on the front line in almost a year. As fighting continues in Khan Yunis, Israel vows to invade Rafah if the remaining hostages are not freed by the 10th of March.
EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has declared her intention to run for a second term. She made the announcement after a meeting with the leadership of the Christian Democratic Union Party in Berlin. 5 years ago, she decided to run for office rather ad hoc. This time, the situation is completely different, she says.
Heute, 5 Jahre später, treffe ich eine ganz bewusste und wohlüberlegte Entscheidung. Die Welt heute ist eine gänzlich andere als 2019. Wir haben gemeinsam viel durchgemacht in den vergangenen 5 Jahren und ich glaube, man kann sagen, wir haben mehr geschafft, als wir uns je vorstellen konnten. In diesen 5 Jahren ist nicht nur meine Leidenschaft für Europa gewachsen, sondern natürlich auch meine Erfahrung, wie viel dieses Europa für seine Menschen leisten kann.
Von der Leyen will now stand as the European People's Party lead candidate in the European Parliament elections in June. By announcing her candidacy, von der Leyen has put an end to a months-long speculation about her political future. Her second term in Brussels would have one overriding objective, she says.
We want to strengthen democracy of Europe in the European Union, and we want to address all the challenges around us, but in a way that people know that there's safety and security within the European Union for them.
For many across the world, von der Leyen has become the main European interlocutor. Her re-election would ensure continuity as the world faces multiple crises. Alexei Navalny's widow accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of killing her husband and vowed to continue his fight against the Kremlin. Navalny's allies accused Russian authorities of trying to hide evidence as they prolonged the investigation into his death. Yulia Navalnya on Monday said that her husband's body is being, quote, hidden cowardly, even from his mother.
Мы знаем, из-за чего конкретно Путин убил Алексея 3 дня назад. Мы скоро вам об этом расскажем. Мы обязательно узнаем и то, кто именно и как именно исполнил это преступление. Мы назовем фамилии и покажем лица.
Navalny's mother was denied access to the morgue in Salehard on Monday. The staff refused to answer if the body was there, according to Navalny's spokesperson. On the Kremlin side, spokesman Dmitry Peskov described the accusations being made against the president as, quote, boorish and inadmissible.
Russian troops flying their flag in the Ukrainian town of Avdiivka. The Defense Ministry on Sunday said it had full control of the strategic industrial hub after Ukrainian troops withdrew to avoid encirclement. It is one of the biggest changes on the front line since Russia captured Bakhmut in May last year and comes as Ukraine faces acute shortages of ammunition. Speaking at the Munich Security Conference, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky implored his Western allies to step up supplies of military aid.
Саме Україна може зупинити Путіна і створити такі умови, щоб він був покараний за все зло, яке наробив. Але щоб Україна могла досягти цього успіху, захистити свою землю, своїх людей і нашу спільну правду усіх у вільному світі, Україна не має залишитись наодинці.
As the 2-year anniversary of Russia's invasion approaches, troops in Ukraine are under pressure along the front line, with exhausted ranks desperately in need of more artillery shells. Meanwhile, Japan's Prime Minister on Monday promised his country's long-term commitment to the reconstruction of Ukraine. The Israeli military claims to have discovered a car stolen from one of the kibbutzes attacked on the 7th of October. They say the vehicle was found inside the Nasser hospital parking lot as troops continued to carry out operations in the battered medical center. The army also released a video showing what they said were unopened boxes of medication labeled with the names of hostages found inside its pharmacy. The head of the World Health Organization says Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis is no longer functioning due to the Israeli army's week-long siege and ongoing raid. The Gaza Strip's second largest hospital is still sheltering many patients suffering from war wounds and the enclave's worsening health crisis. But there's no power and not enough staff to treat them all. Israel is ignoring calls to halt its military offensive in Gaza. It's now vowed to invade the southern city of Rafah if the remaining Israeli hostages are not freed by the upcoming Muslim holy month of Ramadan, due to begin on the 10th of March. Nearly 29,000 Palestinians have been killed and close to 70,000 others wounded since the 7th of October, when some 1,200 people were killed during attacks in Israel by Hamas-led gunmen.
The head of diplomacy of the European Union countries are meeting in Brussels. At the top of the agenda is the war in Gaza and the issue of the Israeli hostages. But above all, the war in Ukraine, with the possibility of new sanctions against Russia following the death of Alexei Navalny.
About 2 years that Putin launched this war against Ukraine, and it doesn't look being ready to stop it, by the contrary. So in both fronts, in the political one and in the military one, we have to continue our support to Ukraine and to the Russian people who want to be living in freedom, and to pay an homage to Navalny.
Josep Borrell announced a proposal to name the European sanctions regime for human rights violations after Navalny.
Spain's conservative opposition People's Party retained its absolute majority in the northwest region of Galicia on Sunday in a close-run regional election. Alfonso Rueda, the victorious Galician regional president, said it was a victory for common sense. The People's Party won 40 seats in the 75-seat regional assembly. The Galician Nationalist Bloc finished second with 25 seats, followed by the Socialist Party with 9 seats. The region is one of Spain's most conservative and the birthplace of longtime dictator Francisco Franco.
Hundreds of tractors rolling into the center of Prague. Farmers in the Czech Republic are protesting against European Union agriculture policies and what they say are, quote, unfair practices. They disrupted traffic outside the agricultural ministry.
To je plácnutí do vody těch organizátorů, kteří bohužel mnozí z nich nemají se zemědělstvím vůbec nic společného. Je potřeba vidět, že za tou výzvou do značné míry jsou politické ambice některých kruhů. Mě to mrzí, protože já bych daleko raději vedl dialog právě se zástupci zemědělců a vždycky se vede lépe dialog u stolu, než někde na ulici nebo na náměstí.
But major agricultural organizations distanced themselves from the rally after it turned out some organizers were behind recent pro-Russian demonstrations.
My do té Prahy dneska jedeme vyjádřit vlastně nespokojenost s nastavením vůbec evropského kontextu zemědělství jako takového. Ty naše protesty jsou za stejnou věc, jako jsou protesty v ostatních evropských zemích. To znamená, nám se nelíbí Green Deal, nelíbí se nám jeho zavádění v zemědělské prvovýrobě, které v podstatě je pro nás extrémně omezující až devastující.
Meanwhile, on Sunday, Polish farmers blocked access to the road at the border crossing with Ukraine as part of ongoing protests by farmers across Europe against the bloc's agriculture policy. Kyiv described the blockade as a, quote, security threat in a time of war. Polish farmers are also angry about the duty-free influx of Ukrainian agricultural goods.
More than 10 million children were forced to flee their homes last year in the world's 10 largest crises, according to new analysis by Save the Children. This has likely pushed the number of children displaced globally to more than 50 million, the highest number ever more than doubling since 2010. Last year, an additional 29,000 children a day were estimated to be newly displaced inside their own country or had fled to another country, with children in Sudan and Somalia the most affected. Save the Children says a displaced child has most likely witnessed the kind of violence or destruction that no young person should ever have to see, and they have to leave everything they know behind. It says that when children lose their homes, they lose almost everything: their access to healthcare, education, food and safety. In the Gaza Strip, as of the end of 2023, the proportion of the population displaced within the enclave in just 10 weeks was one of the highest recorded globally. With these latest figures, Save the Children is underlining the need for children around the world to be supported. It says they need not only vital supplies, but also security, education, shelter, health, a place to play, laugh and learn. Just a few things many of us take for granted.
The European Commission has said it is formally investigating TikTok. The Commission wants to make sure the app is complying with the Digital Services Act, which took effect last year. It also wants to analyse if TikTok is sufficiently protecting minors. The app's measures to stop minors from finding inappropriate content might not be, quote, reasonable, proportionate and effective. The Commission also wants to investigate TikTok's transparency, especially when it comes to advertising on the platform.